Hi Jim, welcome in Facts and Rumors from the knife industry from Knives Heaven. We really appreciate you being in our show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Hank. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be on the show. I'm glad that you reached out to me. I was really excited about doing this. Everybody
Okay.
knows I love to talk.
Yes, you like to talk. That's why you were number one on my list.
Okay.
So, Jim, you have been a YouTube personality in the knife scene for several years.
Yeah, I started back in 2012, actually.
And I think you appeal to a certain sub-community on YouTube. Which part of the YouTube knife community do you see as your audience?
So the reason I started back in 2012 is I had a lot of time on my hands. The career that I had, I only worked 3 days a week for 2 or 3 hours at a time. So I had a lot of time on my hands, and I was dealing with a lot of insomnia. So I would be up till all times of the night, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. And a lot of the time I would waste would be watching YouTube. And I got into, obviously everybody knows I got heavy into knives and high-end custom knives in particular. And I was watching guys like Tough Thumbs, Colonel Jeff, a lot of those guys, and it inspired me. I sat there and went, I've got a lot of cool knives that are either one of a kind or extremely rare, only a few have been made. So people may not have had a chance to see those, and I'd like to review those. And when you go to the big review channels, the ones that have crazy numbers, they tend to spread out a lot in production knives that appeal to a very large audience, and then they'll do other stuff, guns and motorcycles. Nothing fancy would be a good example of that.
Yeah.
And I kind of went, I have a lot of interests, but what I want to share and what I want to talk about with people are the higher end, more exclusive kind of custom knives. So that's kind of where I started. I didn't want to do what everybody else was doing. Back in the time when I started, there were guys that were doing this view, and they would hold up a knife and they would talk about it and demonstrate it. And I didn't want the reviews to be about me. Actually, for probably 5 years, nobody had ever even seen my face on my YouTube channel.
Yep.
So I did a first person where we could get in really close on the knife and show it in HD and try to talk about the things that I appreciated about the knives and what other people might appreciate. And it kind of evolved from there. I didn't expect it to do anything. I thought it was just going to help me pass some time, and I could talk about a few of the things that I enjoyed talking about. And then at one point, it just kind of exploded, and people started looking to me to talk about makers that they were interested in or maybe had never heard of, that had maybe a long wait time. They weren't sure if they wanted to put that kind of investment in time or money into a knife, and they would hear me talk about it, let's say a Kirby Lambert, and they would go, wow, that knife looks amazing. He's showing it to us in detail in HD. I don't even have to listen to him to see that this is a really good knife, which was another reason I did that format. You could put it on mute and just watch what I was displaying, and you could look for yourself and see what you liked and what you didn't like. And if you chose to turn on the audio and listen to me, I would give you my opinions on the things that I looked for in a knife. We all experience a growth in the things that we enjoy in our hobbies. Obviously, now that I've turned into a knife maker, I have a slightly different perspective. But even as I was just growing as a collector and learning more about the industry and how things worked and how things were priced and what things were appropriate and inappropriate as far as wait times and communication and deposits and prepay and all those things, I began to form more and more opinions and voice them more often. And I found for quite a while there that I would get more views on like my knives and wine rants and just general rants where I'd have 20 different knives in front of me and I'm drinking either scotch or wine and getting drunker and drunker as the episode was going on. I was seeing a lot of people tuning into that because I was talking about a lot of the things that they were thinking about and they were discussing with their friends, and they wanted to get a different perspective on it. And I enjoyed giving that. And throughout the years, I've had a chance to, in a way, kind of put the collector's voice in the maker's ear. There was a video that I did a long time ago, probably 6-7 years ago, about packaging, how important packaging really was to somebody that was spending a good degree of money. Now, I'm looking right now at a bin that I have sitting to the side, and all my knife boxes are in there. Once I open a knife, I never see the box again until I sell or trade the knife however long later. But it's that experience of when you first get it, because you've been waiting for God knows how long to receive that particular product, and you want that special feeling. And a lot of times you were just getting a zipper case or a cardboard box.
Yep.
A lot of thought wasn't put into it. And a lot of makers would reach out to me and go, you know what, I think you're right. I think that feeling of I have something special for the money and the time that I've spent on this. So a lot of those makers changed the way they package their knives. And that was one of the positive influences I felt that I brought. And I don't really think that I bring a lot of influence to how people do their business, but I think it gives them an understanding of what the collectors are thinking. They're like, okay, if there's one voice out there saying this, there's probably 100 more behind him that are thinking the same thing. Maybe I should possibly look at that.
Okay. I like the fact that you bring up the experience, unboxing and so on. Exactly.
And again, yeah, you want to feel special when you open it. That doesn't take away from the knife for me personally, but it takes away from the experience. That, okay, even if you bought it off a website, I've waited a week for it to get here, or 3 days for it to get here, and I'm antsy, and I'm looking at pictures of it, I'm staring at it, I'm waiting for it to get there, and I want it to be everything that it was in my head. You know, exactly. I think packaging is a big part of it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's a nice answer on the question, a long answer, because you already answered a couple of my other questions, so that's fabulous. In the beginning of your channel, of your YouTube channel, you also did videos on production knives, not only customs. But over time, your interest shifted from production knives towards high-end customs. How did this affect your audience?
I'm not entirely certain. I know that there were some people that had tuned into, maybe I was talking about a Benchmade or a Spyderco, which was very, very rare that I did that. But the times that I did, I don't think that I got any more views on those than I did on, say, a Stan Wilson or a Frank Fisher or anything like that. But you would see a lot of differences in the comment section. So there's a lot more vitriol. When you start getting up into higher price points, I still think from the beginning to even today, I think the most common theme in the comment section is, I can't believe you would spend X amount of dollars on a knife. I can go to Walmart and buy one for $20. So a lot of time was spent trying to justify why we spend what we spend on what we love. And, you know, people just, if they're not experienced, they don't know. Or they'll say, well, I'd rather spend that $1,500 on an AR-15 than that $1,500 on a folding knife I'm gonna have in my pocket. Well, that AR-15 was mass produced. That knife was made by hand by someone. There's a portion of their life, of their soul, that's in that knife. That month or 2 months or however long they spent making it, that part of their life is in that knife that you're carrying in your pocket. It's not just coming off an assembly line. It's also not the same as everybody else's. If you buy the right custom knives from the right makers, they will almost always be worth more than what you paid. Now, right now, it's a different situation with the economy and whatnot, and saturation in the market, which is a different topic. But generally, if you know the right knife makers to buy from, the right knives to buy, you should never buy a knife with just the intention of trying to make money off of it. But if something happens and you decide, hey, I want to buy my kid a car for his 16th birthday, and I've got a couple of knives here I spent a lot of money on that I'm not using, let me see what I can get out of them. You're more likely to get what you paid or more out of it if you've chosen the right maker with a good reputation, quality and consistency, and the right model. So if you do that, you have more or less an investment piece. Even though you don't want to view them that way, they can be. And it took a long time to teach people that's where we're going with this. That's part of what we enjoy. I have a lot of hobbies. I'm into cars and guns and motorcycles and knives and various other things. And most of those things, you're just throwing money out and you're going to lose it. With knives, I've always had a great success with the knives that I liked. Fortunately, other people liked. So I never generally lost money unless I wanted to, unless I said, hey, I want to sell this right away. I'm going to take, $200 off of it to get a quick sale. As far as how the viewership changed, I'm not really sure, because my very first video was on a Una. It was on a custom knife. I would do a couple of little production knives here and there, but it was always predominantly mid-tech and custom. And then I went straight to nothing but custom. I didn't touch any productions for a while. And over the past 3 years, I tried to filter production knives back in, but extraordinarily picky. Like it would have to be like a custom knife factory or a Riyadh or something that was special, used very high-grade materials, offered something different. I wanted to still find something special because I found a lot of people coming to me going, I've heard about things I've never heard about by watching your channel, and I bought those knives. I'd love more recommendations, but maybe things that I could afford a little bit more easily. I love to go out there with something like a Riat that's $300 that is very close to a $500-600 knife in quality that people can more easily obtain.
Yeah, I understand. I think we are alike in that regard. So I like the fact that you said the soul of the knife maker. That's what attracts me as well. People ask me, why do you buy those expensive knives? Because a good custom knife has the soul of the maker in it. Sometimes a production knife can be almost perfect, but it doesn't have a soul for me. It's clean, it's sterile, and a production knife, yeah, okay. My personal idea is that you don't do YouTube to get the biggest growing group of followers or viewers, Jim. I can see that other channels reviewing more budget-friendly knives are growing a lot faster.
Oh yeah.
They earn money with it. They monetize it successfully. Does this bother you, or is this your niche where you want to be?
It doesn't bother me at all. And you can always tell the people that are there to make money, because at some point they're going to either start the video or stop at some point and go, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, click the bell icon, and share it with your friends. I've never once ever said that out of 400 or so videos that I've done, because I don't care about that. I don't care about growing an audience and living off of ad revenue. It was never something that appealed to me, because I work for a living. I always have, and that's also why I do a lot fewer videos these days, because it takes time away from what I do that does make money to do something I'm not going to make money off doing. I get a chance to share what I love with people, and I speak my mind. I'll drop the F-bomb, I'll curse, I'll say certain things in certain ways that some people don't like, and I'm okay with that. I don't need you to subscribe. You're more than welcome to tune into what you like, tune out to what you don't, and go elsewhere and subscribe to somebody else and enjoy their content. There are some good knife reviewers out there. I'm highly critical about other knife reviewers, so I don't really ever suggest any, because it's just when you do something for so long, you're critical of someone else doing the same thing. I do enjoy watching Metal Complex, so there's one I'll throw out there. I don't really give recommendations, but Metal Complex is a fun channel to watch. You can hear it in his voice that he's enjoying the experience, and that's something that all of us over time we lose. We become a little bit jaded, and not because we want to be, just because we're used to it.
Yep.
You know, to find a way to rekindle the excitement can be somewhat challenging, and I've gone through that myself, and I've gone through waves.
Yeah.
You guys have seen me go through, the big overbuilt folder stage, and I'm completely out of that now. Times that I for years I didn't enjoy fixed blades at all. I didn't understand the concept and the usefulness behind them. And then probably 6 years ago, when I got my Bonner Mini Butcher, that was the knife that changed me and turned me into a fixed blade lover. And now I always carry a folder, and most of the time carry a fixed blade backup of some sort of size and some sort of configuration, because there's always a great use for a fixed blade. So my tastes have changed and evolved, and I think a lot of my viewership has followed that with me, and that's been a lot of fun to see.
The way you publish your content, Jim, on YouTube did not change a lot since you started. The background, the carbon fiber on the table, and the view of angle maybe a little bit.
I've kind of wandered away from that a little bit, because I've noticed over the past few years a lot of guys doing the first-person view on carbon fiber, and so I've experimented with a few different things, because I hate now that other people are doing exactly what I did. It's flattering and it's great, it's wonderful. However, it was always my identity, so now I don't care about having an identity. I'll put a different backdrop down and go, that looks good, and I'll just kind of roll with that.
And I can remember you used to do sometimes an interview on location with the custom maker, but can we expect those things again in the future, or changes in the way you do your videos?
I wish I had the time to do that. The first time I did it was with Stan Wilson, and I didn't expect to do it. I was going to visit Frank and Stan and Todd Fisher just for fun and to hang out as friends, and I happened to have my camera with me. And Frank had mentioned it to Stan, and Stan's like, well, shit, bring your camera in here. Let's talk to people. Let's have fun. I'm like, okay. So it looked terrible. There's no good lighting. It's me holding it by my hand and everything. It's not professional in any way, but I think people still enjoyed it. I would love to do a professional setup, you know, with the lighting and a tripod and a good camera and an interview process setup. I just don't have the time to travel around the country and meet all my friends and sit down and go, you know, tell your story. I wish I could. I just don't. I barely have time to walk up the stairs in my own house and sit down here in my office, which is also my photo studio off this way, and take pictures and do videos on knives that I have. I still have probably 2 or 3 more that I still need to get done that I just haven't had the time to do. And I wish I could. I wish I could devote the time. I had toyed for a short amount of time with the idea of, okay, I'll open up a Patreon, and what I'll do with that is if I get enough people donating, and it pays me enough time to not be in the shop. So let's say my time in my shop is worth $300 a day, just for a round number. If I had gotten $300 worth of donations, I would take a day, not work, sit down and just produce YouTube content. But it never got to that point. I think the most donations I ever got was up to like $14 or $16 a month.
Yeah.
Because I didn't push it. I didn't really like the idea of donate money to me. You know, my Instagram, you know, that's about me screwing off. My Facebook, that's about me and screwing off. But my YouTube, it's not about me at all. It's about a product that I want to desperately show people and share my excitement with. And that's obviously evolved over time to different types of knives.
That brings me to the following question. How do you deal with haters on YouTube?
You know what? I don't get as much hate on YouTube as I do elsewhere in the vast reaches of the internet. I personally don't care. The thing is, when it comes to the knife community, I've been involved in it now since, well, it's been 10 years now. Wow. And I have bought, sold, and traded literally thousands of knives and have never had a single hiccup. Never had somebody that didn't receive something they purchased from me or it was received in a different condition than I described it to be. As you know, I've done a lot of guest blade videos. I'm kind of the guy that started doing that, where collectors would send me really valuable knives that I had no access to, that I could share on my YouTube and then send back. Nobody ever didn't get their knives back. There's never been anything like that. So in the knife community, the only time I see people attacking me are people that don't know anything about me, that have listened to other people, that listen to other people, that listen to other people, that don't actually know what I have worked hard to do behind the scenes for the knife industry, for knife makers, for knife brands, that I'm not going to explain here either, that I don't want credit for, that I don't take credit for, because I enjoy helping other people succeed. I like to see good people succeed. So I spent a lot of my time doing that stuff, and people don't know that, and they don't need to know that. It's really okay. But they'll look at, you know, shit that they'll see on the internet, things that I did when I was 20 years old. I live by a very simple rule. If somebody's not feeding me, fucking me, or financing me, I really don't care about their opinion. I value my friends, I value my customers, and I value the people that bring value to my life. If you're not any of those things, I really don't care. It doesn't bother me. I can sleep just fine at night knowing that somebody dislikes me or doesn't like my sense of humor or something else like that. When I was a kid, life was a popularity contest. I really felt like everybody had to like me. And when I got into my 30s, I kind of went, well, it's important for a certain group of people to like me, but not another group of people. The rest of them, you know, screw off. And then once I hit my 40s, I realized, man, if you're not directly impacting my life, I don't care what you think. I'll speak my mind. I'll say what I believe, whether I'm right or wrong, and I'll listen to an opposing viewpoint. And my mind could be changed if I'm wrong, but if I feel I'm right, I'm going to stick to it. You know, when I went after Jared West and Quartermaster and all that stuff, I stood behind that because I believed in it. Yep. A lot of people did not like that. Now it's common knowledge. Everybody knows the crap that he pulled. But people don't realize when I went after him and when I went after a certain knife dealer that shall not be named, there was a reason for it. I had all the data to back up what I was saying in my opinions. And I caught a lot of shit for it. A lot of knife makers, in fact, came after me when I went after that one dealer. And to this day, they do not like me. They despise me. But it doesn't matter, because I
Yeah.
believe that if there's something that needs to be spoken about, listen, you don't have to go out and spout off your opinion about everything that you have, because nobody really gives a shit. But if it's something that's important, that's impacting other people in some fashion, and you know the truth, yeah, you should probably put it out there
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stand
yeah,
behind it
yeah, yeah,
with
exactly.
your real name, not an anonymous name. My name is always attached to the things that I say.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Now I have to memorize the triple F rule. Jim, you are active in the community for a long time now, and in the industry, of course. Are there trends you saw come and go which surprised you?
I think, the one I think that that irks me are front flippers. I
Okay.
don't get it. I don't know why they're suddenly so popular. I don't like a knife where I have to change my grip on the knife in order to manipulate it, in order to open it up. It bothers me to a great degree. And I've got two front flippers, and I enjoy them both for what they are, but they're not an EDC knife. I don't want to take out a knife and have to change my handhold on it to open it. And I don't want a knife that I can't consistently every single time open to full lock. And as much as I practice with these front flippers, there'll be just be times that it won't open all the way for whatever reason. So I don't get that, and that's a personal thing with me. Those particular little things, I can see why other people like it. They're different, and when you've collected everything from all across the spectrum, you're always looking for something new. So I understand why people do enjoy them. And there are some that are really well made. I feel the South Africans have done them the best, but they're not done like some other companies are doing them.
Hmm.
I can reach forward with my index finger and open up most of the South African made front flippers. But I've got to hold the knife upright and bring my thumb to the side and bring it up the spine of the knife. I
Yeah,
don't want that.
yeah,
But that's one of the things that I don't personally get. The other thing is, I think it's people are putting far too much emphasis right now on where a knife is made. You go back, let's say 6 years ago when Riot first hit the scene, people were amazed. They looked at this knife and went, okay, like the Horizon B,
yeah,
which
yeah,
I believe was one of the first ones that really got popular. People picked it up and went, it's nothing particularly fancy or amazing, but it's solid. It's got an incredible action. It's got good high quality components. And my God, it's half the price of another knife that I have that's made the same way, but it's made in China. And that China stigma was super strong then, and it's becoming very strong again right now, obviously, with the current situation and why we're all on lockdown and everything else. It was really hard for people to justify spending any degree of money on a Chinese made knife. And then Riot pushed on, and then we started seeing Lee knives and Reich knife and a few other brands coming out, Tuya knife, more recently. And people started recognizing I am getting good quality. I'm not getting the typical Chinese made knife. So I think a lot of people expected the Chinese knife manufacturing to be a fad, except now you're seeing every top knife maker, legendary legacy knife makers that are teaming up with very specific Chinese manufacturers and putting out a high quality product that would be maybe a tenth or a fifth of what they would charge in the custom. And that makes it more accessible to the customer. Now, I have a different way of looking at how to do it. A lot of people are very upset with Lee Williams because to own a Lee Williams kickstop is a true grail of a knife. You hit that flipper tab disappears. It turns into the lock of the knife, and it's like a piece of magic. And I
hmm
remember the first time I got my first kickstop, I was like, holy hell, this is amazing. And a lot of people got mad that he sold out, offered it to very low end manufacturers where somebody could buy a $175, $150 knife that has his kickstop. They feel like it takes away from their custom. I don't fault him for doing that because, hey, guess what? We all get into business to make money. We may have a passion and a love for what we do, but we have families to support, hobbies to support, and a life to provide for ourselves, especially as a knife maker. You're going to have health issues.
yeah,
You're going to be in the chiropractor. You're going to be breathing in shit that's gonna kill you someday. So you want to try to make money if at all possible. So I don't blame him at all for doing whatever he has to do to make a profitable business. However, you need to do something different. The few knives that have gone from me making them by hand to partnering with somebody to make a production collaboration, I have retired the custom. There's never a crossover. When I decided I want to make a production version of my occipital, my very first model, I retired it, was retired for almost a year. Then Bark River Knives came out with the occipital. My tibia, I retired the tibia before I handed over the prototype to David at Riot Knives to make the tibia. I'm doing the same thing with a couple of other knives that are going to be coming out as folders, as flippers. There's going to be an advanced tibia flipper. There's going to be a little finger flipper. Those, while the models aren't retired, I sat down with them to design a knife that was entirely different. So it'll never cannibalize my custom knife sales. And it's never going to cheapen that product for my customers that have purchased that. And I think that's very, very important. I spoke with Enrique Pena about that when he was looking at doing a different version of the diesel. And I said, listen, whatever you do something different. Make it a smaller knife, make the dimensions different, make maybe it's a bolstered or a non-bolstered, opposite of what you offer in your customs. That way your custom customer can still enjoy and love the knife that he owns. They can still buy that more accessible, more easily affordable production knife, and one doesn't take away from the love of the other. And I've done that myself. I've owned knives that were full customs, and then I've bought the production version. And sometimes, I'm not going to say often, but sometimes the production version is so fucking good, I don't need to have the custom anymore. Because now I've got one I can beat up, I can use without fear. I'm not devaluing it, and I can replace it if something happens. Now I've got that $3,000 one. Well, I can turn that into a new set of wheels on the Harley or something like that. So you have to be careful when you're crossing that line and making that production knife. So anyway, as far as the Chinese knives go, I spent a lot of time promoting very specific makers like Riot that I feel offer incredible quality. They don't knock off other people's designs, which is a big stigma for the Chinese. They knock off everybody. And it's true, those Chinese factories, that's how they survive. But I won't support a knife manufacturer that knocks off a custom maker or another production company's knives. I won't do it. Riot has always been up and up with their own designs and then teaming up with very, very good makers. And so many other great makers that, because I've never owned a Tashi knife. As long as I've known Tashi, as well as good as we get along and friendly as we are, I've never owned one of his customs. Every time I've tried to get one, they're gone. But I've had his designs in a Riot knife. They're damn nice.
Yeah, they are very nice. And of course, Tashi is a nice guy, but David Deng is also a very nice guy.
Yes.
Speaking about cannibalizing, that's a good point you brought up. But that's one thing that I noticed since the Chinese came up. Most manufacturers are kind of cannibalizing their own market by bringing out so many designs and so many models. 4, 5, 6 new designs monthly, cannibalizing their own markets. What do you think about this?
I think we're seeing that across the entire industry, really. I mean, ever since Forged in Fire hit TV, now everybody's a knife maker. So you have a lot more custom knife makers on the scene, a lot more knives flooding the market of various degrees of quality, some that are absolute garbage. And there have been some people that out of nowhere showed a great degree of talent and have a great product to offer. The bigger companies are absolutely pushing more and more and more knives because they have to. There's a larger market now than there used to be. And I'm not saying there's a larger market for the high-end, super premium customs, but there's a larger buying market in general because of influences like Forged in Fire and Knife Fight. But these shows that have brought knives into more or less the mainstream, more people are becoming interested. A lot of gun guys are making that shift over because of social media. They'll follow all these different gun companies and gun collectors. And like all of us, we're going to throw a knife and a gun and probably a nice flashlight in a pocket thumb picture. And so that gun guy that's only ever bought maybe $50 cold steel sees that $1,000 knife and goes, holy crap, I love that. What is that? Tell me what it's all about. And they become a knife collector. They become interested in the hobby. So I think that audience is growing, but I think the sales are being captured more by the production companies. And so what they need to do is always have new and fresh, because we as collectors on any level, whether you only collect production or custom or you collect everything, we get bored very, very quickly. So we always want something new. So if I own a multi-million-dollar knife manufacturing brand, I would push for a lot of new models every month as well, because you've got to feed that market. It's always, when you're talking about big business, it's always about new customer capture rate, and that is a figure that they look at every single month. New customer capture rate is extremely important. Somebody like me, as a handmade knife maker, yeah, sure. I love to get new customers, but I like to go to my repeat customers, because I know that's because somebody has my knife in their hand, they love it, and they want more. So I'm proud that more than 70% of my sales go back to previous customers.
Hmm.
I love getting new customers, but it doesn't pay my bills, because I'm not able to put out a lot of brand new stuff all the time. A company like Benchmade or Riyadh, yeah, you've got to put out a lot of new designs all the time to get people excited, because you're shotgunning this out. You're putting your designs out there to a huge, huge market. This one new design may appeal to 30% of that market. Well, now you need another design right behind it to appeal to the other 70%, or another 30%, then another design for the other 20%. However that's going to break down, you're always putting stuff out there, and you've got to try and satisfy all these different people to get their money, to keep that corporate machine moving.
I think still the best selling knives are, for example, the Buck 110, the Benchmade Osborne, the 940, the Spyderco paramilitary, and they are on the market for ages, and they still sell.
People don't realize how hard that is. Do you realize, as a knife maker, how I dream of making my Sabenza, of making my Buck 110, of making my 940 Osborne? Make a single knife design that resonates among so many people that it not only sells extraordinarily well, but it has a lifespan. Look how many really amazing knife makers are out there that have never had that one knife
Hmm.
that has lasted 10, 15, 20, 30 years, like a Sabenza. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants that. And it really is lightning in a bottle. And whatever you do, don't screw it up. If you've got that one design, keep making new designs to keep people interested in your brand. But if you're able, luckily enough to make that one knife design that appeals to such a broad audience that it can live for decades, that think about how few knives have
Yeah.
done that. Really, when you
Yeah,
really stop and think about it,
you're right.
that
You're
is
right.
a magical moment.
What are your ideas about the increasing restrictions on social media platforms regarding knife-related content, or even putting channels on hold?
They're killing us. My God, Instagram, Facebook. Right now, for the most part, if you put a knife, as a collector selling your knives, or a knife maker, you put a knife post up and put a price on it, they'll yank it down. You've got to figure out creative ways in order to put your knife out there. Which, by the way, all you got to do is use any editing software on your cell phone. On the picture, write the price of the knife on the picture. Boom, put it out there. That's it.
Yeah.
Algorithms are searching for keywords, and they're yanking them. But anyway, they're killing us. Especially, I think Instagram is the worst, because they're doing it more surreptitiously. Facebook, when you put up a post on a knife for sale and they immediately delete it, you see the direct effect. Instagram's not the same. Don't put a post up, it'll live forever. But what you don't know is a tenth of your audience was allowed to see it for any number of reasons. Then you go start looking at your follower count. I gain about, on average, around 300 followers a week on my Instagram. Yet as of two and a half years ago, when the algorithm shift happened, my following number, which was at the time 76,500, never increased. I would gain about 300 a week, but that number never increased. Then I started watching it go down, and then down and down and down. And I'm still adding more and more followers by the day, yet that number keeps going down. And I see that happening. It was very prevalent in the gun industry. If you're a gun manufacturer or a gun collector or a professional shooter on social media, your posts are blocked, hashtags disappear, like our knife sale hashtag
Yeah.
was eliminated. That hurt a lot of people that were selling knives all the time. Also hurt guys like me that when I'm like, oh, I got an extra $500 burning a hole in my pocket. I would go to that hashtag and just scroll and see what was for sale. Well, you can't do that anymore. You got to go to these other weird hashtags that will soon be retired as well. And I watched it happen to the gun people. Now I'm seeing it happen to the knife people. You can put feelers out there and testers out there. Unless somebody has gone to your post and interacted with it by either liking it or commenting on it, if you just enjoy the content from one particular social media person, maybe it's your best friend, and you're always enjoying seeing what you're seeing, but you never bother to click like or write anything, after a while, you don't see them.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to their page, you'll be like, oh my God, you've been posting for weeks and I haven't seen a single
Yep.
one of these posts.
Yep.
Because Instagram decides that you don't care unless you interact. So there's that, and that affects the entire platform no matter what you're doing. You could just be taking selfies or pictures of your dog. That will affect you. Somebody in the knife business or has an interest in knives, and that's what you're looking for. If you're not interacting with people, you're going to fall off their feet. They're going to fall off of yours. And our posts are being blocked. Our posts are being censored in a lot of ways. It's going to get to the point where you're not going to be able to sell knives at all on Instagram, and we're going to find the medium. For guys like me, I'm a one-man operation. I do everything myself. But I also came up from social media, and I have an understanding of it. And I realized the importance of showing work in progress pictures as I'm making a knife to let people see, kind of a peek behind the curtain, let you see what goes on, what I go through. And you feel an attachment to that knife or to that knife maker and watching what they're doing. And then when I go to sell a knife, I try to make 1 to 2 knives openly available. I closed my books about 1.5 years ago. I don't take orders. I don't do any of that stuff. I supply to my dealers and my previous customers. They always have an open spot. But what I try to do is 1 or 2 knives a month, I try to just make openly available on my Instagram. Well, when I go to put that out there and only 300 people out of my 70 some odd thousand viewers ever see that hurts my business, or could possibly hurt my business. And there are guys that are much, much smaller. Maybe they have 2,000 followers, and they need every single knife they make, they need to put up there and sell. And Instagram does something to prevent that post from being seen. It hurts them. They can't afford to open up a website and pay a webmaster and run a credit card authorization machine or pay PayPal fees to run it, the proper ways through the website. They can't afford to have pictures in magazines because they can't go to a great photographer like Coop and say, hey, here's $500 for a nice photo shoot on this knife. So they rely on breaking out their cell phone, taking a nice little picture or video, putting up, going, hey, look at my work. It's available. I need to feed my children. You can pay my rent. And then Instagram makes sure that nobody sees it. That hurts. And we need to find another way to do this. And people have tried. They've tried making another platform that very closely mimicked Instagram that was only 4 knives. I don't recall the name of it now, but it didn't last long. I don't know what we're going to do. I really don't. Do we go back? Do we go back in time 20 years where we have to rely on knife publications, Blade Magazine, and things like that? Because used to, 20, 30 years ago, you weren't selling knives unless you were in Blade Magazine. That's how people knew who you were. And then, the internet popped up, and then knife purveyors online popped up, and that changed the industry. Do we go backwards? Do we stop relying on technology and social media and go back to the days of you have to be set up at a knife show? You have to be in a knife magazine? I don't know what the right answer is.
Well, we have to be innovative, I think, as the knife community and industry. We have to be innovative and come up with our own platform for those kind of things. You already told a little bit about it, about your knife making hobby turned into a business. Your designs have grown more complex, I noticed. The grindings, the materials, that kind of stuff. How do you see yourself going forward, and what can be expected in the future from you as a knife maker?
I like doing stuff that challenges me. I enjoyed the knives that I was making in the beginning, the occipital and the tibias and all that, and the bone chopper. And then one day I woke up and went, I want to challenge myself a little more. So I created the Hellraiser. So that was my first recurve, and learning how to do grinds in a recurve, most particularly putting the final edge on. Then I started doing compound grinds, not because I necessarily needed to, but because I felt it was something that it was a stepping stone that I needed to do. If I don't enjoy doing something, I stop doing it. I stopped enjoying making the occipital. I didn't like grinding that knife, so I retired it. Very simple. That was the reason I retired that knife. I didn't enjoy the tibia because to do the tibia the way that I wanted to do it, and that's my little Warncliffe that has the milled fuller with the holes in it. I don't own a mill. So I would have to do all this work, and I would have to take this batch of knives, take it over somewhere, and have that groove milled into the blade and the holes put in. I didn't enjoy that process. I want to do 100% of all the work on every knife myself, the way that I am. I once relied on someone else. I was having stuff EDM cut. I had 65 knives EDM cut to dig myself out of the hole that I was in. I had so many orders, and it ended up screwing me, almost put me out of business because they were unreliable. So I want to do 100% of everything myself.
So
If I don't enjoy doing it, I don't do it. And so I look for things. I put ideas in my head that I go, oh, I haven't done that before. It's like right now, so I have the Hellraiser, then I did the Hellbound. The Hellbound is this one.
Yeah.
I don't know how well the camera is going to show it.
Yeah.
But the reason I did the Hellbound was I wanted to create something that was more aggressive than my Hellraiser design. So I made something a little bit bigger. I put a more difficult style of grind in there. I'm retiring that one because I don't enjoy grinding it anymore. Then I said, I need another one. So I created the Hellseeker last month. And that's the first knife that I'm going to put out. Every single one is going to have a compound grind. Sometimes I'll just do a compound grind on a knife that I already make, that I don't do compound grinds on. This one is specifically made to be a fighting style knife, and I wanted the complexity of the compound grind and the overall design balance of it. So I'm trying to challenge myself on new things, work with new materials. I just started working with Mammoth last year and stuff like that I was too scared to work with before. But I want to take a pair of $300 scales and ruin them due to inexperience. Well, I got a little more experience, so I got a little bit more brave. So I just want to challenge myself as much as I can. There will be a folder in the future. I've had it sketched out for 2.5 years. Believe me, everybody keeps asking, believe me, I want to make a folder. I'm just not ready to yet. I want to have my own mill before I do that. I want to make sure that I have the best tools available to me. Can I do it with a drill press? Yes, a lot of guys do. But I want to do it to the best of my ability. I want to have tools that are there that will let me do things to the best of my ability. So I'm taking my time on that.
Okay.
I don't want to send things out and just have a bunch of parts cut. I might, for a prototype, just have a bunch of parts cut just to see how I'm able to put it together and see if I like it. But everything, it has to be made by me in-house. It bothers me if it's not. So for right now, I always try to come up with new designs. Right now, I'm going to push the Hellseeker a lot more. I'm really excited about that one because of the versatility that particular design has. I'm pushing forward with a lot of production knives. I have my advanced tibia flipper will be coming out. I should be seeing the prototype in about a month. The little finger flipper is going to be through Custom Knife Factory. It was supposed to come out during Blade Show. Blade Show is not a thing right now.
Yeah.
They fell behind with certain issues. So I'm about 6 months out from that. So, maybe just around the first of the year, 2021, the little finger flipper will be out. I'm working with Jordy at Focus Design Works up in Canada. I've been waiting for 2 years to put out my own flashlight design. I teamed up with Jordy. Jordy was as excited about it as I am. So I put those out on my Instagram. I put the renderings out there so people can see them. I'm excited about doing that. I'm actually really excited about doing that. And I'm going to continue making fixed blades for a while. I have in my head a few different designs. And one I really want to do is I want to do an integral buoy.
Okay.
And that's quite the daunting task, but it's something I really, really want to do.
Yeah. Randall style?
Not really. I want to try to put my own spin on it, but I mean, if you're going to make a buoy, some Randall is going to creep in there for sure. That influence is going to be there along with a couple of other makers. But I have my own idea in my head of what I want to make. It'll be a little more radicalized. It's not going to. I don't like making traditional knives.
Mm-hmm.
When I had to submit my knives for the second time, the second go around to get into the Knife Makers Guild, I decided, well, a lot of these guys like traditional knives. So I made a drop point hunter. It's not my style. I don't make that type of knife. But I wanted to show I'm versatile. I can do other things and I can appeal to other interests. So I did it was all engraved. I did nice fancy swelled handles and all that kind of good shit. It wasn't my style, but it was a beautiful knife, and I enjoyed that experience of doing it. So I want to show people that I do have other tricks up my sleeve, and I think making an integral knife is certainly one of those. And to do a buoy, a nice big 14-inch blade buoy, is something that I'm very excited about doing.
Nice.
I want to do swords, and I want to do machetes. But I want to do a nice big Bowie one day.
Yeah.
I don't care if I ever sell any. I'll make it for me and
Yeah.
just have it up on the wall for myself.
And with a nice clip point profile, or okay,
Yeah.
nice. I think you are a dagger type of guy too.
I have a dagger on the bench that I've been playing with for just under a year. The trick about daggers is symmetry, not just in the grind,
Yes,
but everything.
it's difficult.
Remember, I don't use a CNC or a water jet, so everything I do, I'm cutting off a bandsaw and then grinding to shape. I screwed it up, to be honest. I screwed it up. So it's been sitting on the bench for me to sit down and try it again, and I will. And once I do, I'll make my little G10 template so I won't screw that up again in the future. But there will be a dagger coming within this year because I love daggers, and it's a stepping stone for any knife maker.
Yeah.
You have to do it. If you're making fixed blade, you have to do a dagger.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to do the symmetry on 4 grinds, make it as perfect as possible.
Yeah.
And that's something that I feel that I need to achieve as a personal goal.
Yeah. Awesome. Looking forward to that. Okay. First, the Bowie. You already told that your order book is closed.
Yeah, I had to. It got to the point where I was so far behind that I don't want people to have to wait forever. If they had to wait beyond a year, it bothered me. So I closed my books. I have a really large dealer network that I'm so thankful for, Blade HQ and so many other Fort Henry Custom Knives. Some really, really great dealers that you're able to get my knives from. PVK just started carrying my knives. PVK is a couple. So I can supply them. And that pays my bills and all that kind of stuff. And then anybody that's bought a knife from me, one of the benefits is you always have an open spot on my books. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. So I have about 20 of the 30 knives on my bench right now are for existing customers that reordered more knives. I have 2 scaphoids right now that I'm working on in black boomerang stainless Damascus that I'll be putting out as openly available. And I hope I can get them out during this month. I don't know that I can. If I'm already making X amount of, let's say, a Hellraiser, and you're like, I really have to have a Hellraiser, and I have to have it now. Every now and then I'll try to slide somebody in if I'm already doing those, but those days are very few and far between. So, you can always message me and go, hey, what's your list of dealers? I'll give you my whole list of dealers. You can go check them out. Always watch my Instagram page. When I make a knife available, you'll see me making it. And I'll say, this one's going to be available when it's done. Take a good look at the material, see what you think, and then be ready to buy when I put that. And I never just put it out there. That way, if you really do want one, at least you got the heads up. I respect my followers enough to try to do that as often as possible. I don't like doing auctions. I have, and there's certainly a time and a place for it. I just prefer to just sell the knife. I used to do raffles because I felt that was the best way, because a customer could spend $20 maybe and get a $500, $600, $800 knife and have spent hardly anything. But, we were go back to the haters. One of those haters, as they like to be called, decided to screw with me and start making veiled threats. Oh, did you know that if you put up a raffle, it's actually against the law? It's like running a sweepstakes and yada, 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 yada. That I'm doing it because I'd love to give people an opportunity to buy a knife for $20. That's why I'm doing it. So I had to stop doing those because what I don't need is the IRS knocking on my door because one asshat out there decides he wants to screw with my family and my income. So it wasn't worth it. So they took that opportunity away from a lot of good people that were enjoying them. I was doing 2 or 3 a month for a couple months there, and they were like, this is great. I just got a $600 knife for $10, $15. How awesome is that? I loved people having that feeling because maybe they could never afford to buy one of my knives. So that was taken away. So what I try to do is I make 1 or 2 available, and every now and then a special knife, like a prototype, I'll do an auction on. But they can always message me and I'll send it to my dealers and that kind of.
So Jim, thank you so far. But now we have an exciting moment. What is your carry of the day?
It's funny. I came up here. I was in such a hurry. I do not have a knife in my pocket today. However, I have my whole collection right behind me. I can just lie and grab one and say I'm carrying that. What I've been carrying for the past 3 days, however, has been my Moen Works, my Jerry Moen Mongoose.
Okay.
And that thing has become kind of my go-to. It's just been so perfect. It's slim, it's lightweight, it's easy to carry, and it's a long blade. It's a recurve. It's got a nice deep belly.
Yeah.
It literally does everything that I want it to do at any given time. So that's kind of become one of my favorites lately.
That brings me to the following. What is your all-time favorite? You have a lot of lists on your YouTube channel with the current top 10s, top 7s, top 3s, top 5s.
Which you notice I haven't done in years. I had to stop.
Yes, I know, I noticed. But what is right now your all-time favorite? Let me guess, Kirby Lambert?
No, but man, I love Kirby's work. I think Kirby made the true definition of consistency. You can own 5 knives of his from different time periods, and they're all consistently perfect. He's a phenomenal knife maker. You know what? I still have to go back to say that my absolute one favorite knife that I've owned would still be the Frank Fisher Battle. There's been nothing that's ever come close to it, ever. There are many knife makers that I've never owned their knives. That, you know, Ken Steigerwald, Ron Best. There are guys like that someday when I have $25,000 to spend on a knife, I want a Steigerwald for sure. I want a Michael Walker for sure. But I can't really say I have a favorite that's out there that exists in the world, one single knife. But the one that I've owned, my Frank Fisher Battle, still was the best.
Yeah, it's an awesome maker. Finally, where do you see yourself in about 5 years?
I don't know. I know I'll still be involved in the industry. I know I'll still be making knives. I hope to be making primarily folders at that point. I'd like to see myself at 80% folders, 20% fixed blades. I don't want to stop making fixed blades. I actually enjoy them, and I've found such a wonderful practical use for fixed blade knives in my own personal life that I still want to make those. I'd like to see myself making that one knife, that Sabenza, that SNG, that Osborne, that one knife that so many people love, that so many people enjoy, that it can carry on for decades and maybe beyond my life. I would love to have that one. And the folder that I've had designed for 2.5 years, I feel is my best effort into making something like that. I know people are expecting me to do something really out of the box and crazy and wild. Actually, it's not. There will be a lot of little details that will make it spectacular, but I wanted to design something that was my Tad Dauntless or my Sabenza, that I believe a large amount of people will be attracted to it. It will be able to perform a large variety of tasks and be the size that it needs to be for people to carry and enjoy. So I want to be there. I want to be, I don't care about my name myself in the industry. I don't ever care about being revered like certain makers are. I just want somebody to be able to pull a knife out of their pocket and go, this guy made one hell of a fucking knife. I've enjoyed it for 10 years. I'm going to give it to my son one day. It's just a really, really great knife. That's what I want to see for myself. It's not going to happen in the next 5 years. I have a lot more to do. Although I'm 46 years old, I don't know how much time I've really got in the shop. But yeah, I'd like to make that one knife that so many people have in their collection and just go, I really love that knife.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I think you have quite some time ahead. Guys like Bob Terzola still are in the shop every day. And
yeah, Bob's a hell of a lot tougher than I am. I guarantee you. Bob never woke up at 46 years old complaining as he rolled out of bed as much as I do. But I hope so.
Yeah. Jim, thank you for being in our show. We really appreciate it.
Hank, it's been a great pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show. I really do appreciate the consideration for being able to come out here. And I hope to see you next year at Blade Show, because I will be there, even if I have to wear a Tyvek suit and cover every orifice.
Yeah.
I don't want to cover my orifices, but I will if I have to.
Okay.
But yeah, I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you to your viewers for the support. And anybody has any questions, I'm always available to answer them. So thank you.
Super. Thank you very much, Jim.